Chapter 394. Olivia dressed up very beautifully today. She wore a black figure-hugging dress that was worth over $100,000. The dress revealed her beautiful curves and figure, and she put on heavy makeup tonight. Even though she was not as beautiful as Emma or Faria, she could easily get most men excited after putting on some makeup and dressing up in some revealing clothing. When she heard that she was going to meet the young lord of the Baker family, she was also a little excited. Although the Baker family was not one of the top families in Ores Hill, it was still a much stronger and more powerful family compared to the Richard family. Now that the Richard family was still struggling, Olivia also hoped that she would be able to get to know more wealthy and powerful people. If she was fortunate enough, she might have the opportunity to bring some improvements in business to the Richard family. Sean and Olivia continued waiting in the private room for a short while when someone suddenly pushed the door open. At this time, a middle-aged man dressed in an Armani suit walked into the room. The man had his hair combed to the side and he looked very wretched. He was also wearing a Rolex watch on his wrist. A man who looked about 1 or 2 years younger than him was carrying a bag in his hand as he followed behind him. He looked like his assistant. Sean stood up before he smiled and said, "Brother Alan, come and have a seat inside." The middle-aged man smiled before he said, "Chairman Richard, you're such a busy man and you've not visited Ores Hill for the longest time. What brings you here today? I'm also really flattered that you've actually asked me out." As he spoke, Alan suddenly saw Olivia, who was sitting next to Sean, and his eyes lit up immediately. Alan smiled before he said, "Wow, Sean. Who's this beautiful girl beside you? Why didn't you introduce her to me?" Sean pulled Olivia over to him as he said with a smile on his face, "Brother Alan, let me introduce you to her. This is my niece, Olivia." "Oh, it turns out that she's your niece. It's no wonder that she's so beautiful." When Alan heard that Olivia was Sean's niece, he smiled and nodded gently. At this time, his eyes flashed with greed as he reached out his hand towards Olivia and said, "Miss Olivia, I'm so lucky to meet you today." At this time, Sean said to Olivia, "Olivia, this is Alan Baker, the general manager of Baker Pharmaceuticals." Baker Pharmaceuticals is a well-known pharmaceutical company in Ores Hill, and they are doing very well in the pharmaceutical industry. Olivia hurriedly shook hands with the other party as she said, "Hello, Mr. Baker." Alan took off his suit jacket before he threw it towards the man who was standing behind him at this time. The assistant missed his throw and the suit jacket fell on the ground. There was a look of dissatisfaction in Alan's eyes as he glared at the man before he started cursing at him. "Garbage! You can't even do something as simple as this? I'm sorry, elder brother. This is all my fault, please don't get angry." The other man's face turned pale and he quickly picked up the suit jacket on the ground before he wiped off the dust on it. Alan got even more upset and disgusted after hearing the man's words. He walked towards the man and slapped him across the face before he said, "Burton, how many times must I tell you that you're just an illegitimate child? Who gave you the rights to call me your brother? I am not your brother. Get out of here and wait for me outside." Even though Burton was slapped across the face, he did not dare to refute or retaliate at all. Instead, he nodded in a humble manner, as though he was already used to this kind of treatment. After that, he slowly retreated as he said, "All right, I understand, elder brother." After he was done speaking, Burton hurried out of the private room. What a disappointment. Damn it. As Alan continued cursing, Sean suddenly asked, "Brother Alan, is that your brother?" Alan replied coldly, "He's just an illegitimate child. He isn't my brother." After that, Alan turned around to look at Olivia before he asked, "Miss Olivia, you're so beautiful. May I know if you have a boyfriend?"